Scene script. Have you ever pondered how 5 loaves and 2 fish fed a multitude, and yet there were 12 baskets of leftovers? Imagine a scene. A great gathering of people, thousands in number, all with rumbling stomachs and an appetite for wisdom. In the midst of them, a humble man with only 5 loaves and 2 fish. It seems like an impossible situation, doesn't it? The resources are meager, almost insignificant when compared to the vast crowd. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. This man, with unwavering faith and unyielding obedience, decides to share what little he has. He doesn't question the logic, nor does he calculate the probability of success. Instead, he lifts his eyes to the heavens, blesses the food, and proceeds to distribute it among the crowd. Now, you might be wondering, how could such a small amount of food satiate such a large crowd? Well, that's the beauty of the narrative. As each person received their share, they found it to be more than enough. Not just sufficient, but abundant. But the story doesn't end there. After everyone had eaten and were filled, the leftovers were collected. And guess what? There were 12 baskets full of fragments. That's right, from 5 loaves and 2 fish, 12 baskets of leftovers were gathered. This event, as miraculous as it is, teaches us a profound lesson. It shows us that when we step forward in faith and obedience, even when resources seem scarce, we can witness the transformation of scarcity into abundance. It's a lesson about the power of faith, the grace of sharing, and the miracle of abundance. It's a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, when we are willing to share what little we have, miracles can happen. With faith and obedience, the impossible became possible, and scarcity turned into abundance. So, what might happen if we apply this lesson to our own lives? Could we too witness such unseen abundance? A multitude to feed with only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Imagine the scene. A crowd of thousands gathered in the open, their stomachs growling with hunger. Their eyes, filled with anticipation, are locked onto a small basket holding just 5 loaves and 2 fish. It's a sight that would make anyone skeptical. How could such a scanty meal feed so many? Yet in the midst of this apparent impossibility, something extraordinary begins to happen. The basket is passed from hand to hand, and as each person takes a piece, they find there is still more to share. The bread, the fish, they multiply, filling the hands of everyone in the crowd. The air crackles with astonishment. Eyes widen, mouths fall open. This wasn't just a meal, it was a feast. The impossible was happening right before their eyes. The 5 loaves and 2 fish were stretching, expanding, growing to feed everyone. Laughter ripples through the crowd, joined by the joyous sound of satisfied hunger. You can almost hear the disbelief in their voices, the wonder in their laughter. The miracle was not just in the multiplying food, but in the joy and fellowship it fostered. The feast goes on, the bread and fish never depleting. Each person eats until they are full, yet the food remains plentiful. It is an abundance that defies logic, a miracle that challenges our understanding of the possible. And then, when everyone has eaten to their heart's content, something even more astonishing happens. The leftovers are gathered, and they fill not 1, not 2, but 12 baskets. More than they started with. It's a testament to the limitless nature of this miracle, a symbol of divine abundance. In the face of disbelief and impossibility, a miracle unfolded, feeding thousands with food to spare. 12 baskets of leftovers after feeding thousands. What could this symbolize? To the untrained eye, this might seem like a simple act of overestimation. But let's delve deeper into the symbolism here. The 12 baskets of leftovers are not simply remnants of a meal, but rather a divine proclamation of abundance and God's providence. Imagine a banquet table, heaving under the weight of the feast. But this is not a feast for kings or queens. It's for ordinary people. In this act, we see an echo of the divine promise, "I shall not want." The leftover food collected in 12 baskets is a testament to this promise fulfilled. Now, why 12 baskets? Each basket could symbolize the 12 tribes of Israel, signifying that God's providence extends to all his people, without distinction or prejudice. It's a powerful reminder that when it comes to God's love and generosity, there is always more than enough to go around. But there's more to the leftovers than meets the eye. They're not just about physical sustenance, but also spiritual nourishment. The miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fish is not just about feeding the body, but also feeding the soul. It's a lesson in faith, in gratitude, and in the power of sharing. So you see, the 12 baskets of leftovers are not just a random detail in this miracle story. They hold a profound symbolism, serving as a reminder of God's boundless generosity and our shared responsibility to distribute that abundance. In this divine act, we are reminded that with faith, we are never in want, and with gratitude, we recognize the abundance that surrounds us. This is the deeper meaning of the miracle, beyond the physical feeding. It's about spiritual fulfillment and the understanding that when God is the provider, there is always an overflow. The 12 baskets were not merely leftovers, they were a symbol of God's abundant provision. From a historical miracle to our lives today, does this event hold relevance? Well, let's delve into that. The miracle of the 12 baskets is not just a historical event, it's a timeless symbol of faith, obedience, and divine providence. In today's world, where scarcity often seems to be the name of the game, this miracle offers a powerful perspective. In the face of impossibility, when resources appear to be limited and the odds stacked against us, it's easy to succumb to fear and doubt. But remember the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Seemingly insignificant, hardly enough to feed a multitude, and yet, when offered with faith and obedience, they were multiplied, feeding thousands with an abundance left over. The scarcity was turned into surplus. The impossible became possible. Now consider your own life. The challenges you face, the scarcities you encounter, the impossibilities that loom ahead. The 5 loaves and 2 fish in your life might look like your limited resources, your dwindling strength, your waning hope. And yet, when offered with faith and obedience, even these can be multiplied. Think about the times when you faced insurmountable odds, yet somehow, you made it through. The times when you were at the end of your rope, and yet, you found the strength to hold on. The times when all doors seemed to close, and yet, a window opened. Weren't these your 12 baskets moments? These moments, these personal miracles, are reminders that scarcity is not the end but a beginning of faith, a beginning of obedience, a beginning of miracles. They are reminders that even in the face of impossibility, provision abounds. In our lives filled with challenges and scarcities, this miracle invites us to trust in the abundance that faith and obedience can bring. So as we navigate our own multitudes, may we find the courage to offer our 5 loaves and 2 fish, and trust in the 12 baskets of abundance that await us. And now, I leave you with this question. What does the miracle of the 12 baskets mean to you in your life today? Comment below and share your thoughts. Your